We're going to be starting out the show today by talking about some of the top performances from rookies in their Week 2 NFL preseason games. And we are going to be starting off here with, of course, the number 1 overall pick in Caleb Williams. And for Caleb and the Bears, it was a very slow start to the game, which is why this grade is maybe a little bit lower than some fans who might have just watched the highlight reels could think, because, Caleb's grade in this game was really boosted by those final 2 drives with Chicago, where after going 3 and out on each of their drives in the first quarter, all 3 of them resulted in 3 and outs, and because of that, Caleb and the starting offense, which was only expected to get about 1 quarter's worth of play, they rolled into the second quarter as well, and then finally started to build up some momentum for what is going to take place long term with the Bears, where obviously this is a very pressing season for them. And they need to be able to take advantage of this rookie quarterback contract. And I think that ultimately, again, the beginning of the game was a bit rough for Caleb Williams to some degree. Through each of the first 3 plays, he was high for Keenan Allen. I thought that he misread the coverage on the second play, where he seemed to have Keenan Allen on that second level once again, but instead he went more so towards the line of scrimmage and threw it behind Gerald Everett. So ultimately, it was a very slow start for this Bears offense. Second drive, couple runs, Caleb throws short of the sticks for another 3 and out, but eventually, when the second quarter came around, we saw them start to get a little bit more comfortable. They got Rome Odunze involved as well. Caleb Williams making some of those off-platform throws, scrambling, making big plays. Now, there was just inconsistencies with him that weighed down this grade a little bit, but ultimately, Caleb had a pretty solid debut, or a pretty solid showing, and it was very encouraging to see some of the high-end performance plays that and the degree of difficulty of some of the throws that he's going to be able to make do separate himself. So I have a B, which is maybe a little bit harsh, but again, full quarter of non-production. Let me know what you think in the comments section. While we're on the Bears, though, may as well hit on their other top 10 pick in Rome Odunze. I have Rome with a C+ in this game. He had some big-time plays for them. The end around at the beginning of the second quarter is what sort of ignited the Bears offense. I thought it was a great play design by offensive coordinator Shane Waldron. The misdirection to the right and then flipping it back around the outside to Odunze, where once he's in open space, you can very much see the athleticism with this player. But the sort of big play for Odunze was the fact that he was unable to get both of his feet inbounds in the back of the end zone when Caleb tried to hit him there on their red zone possession. He was all alone in the back corner of the end zone. Just have to have better awareness there to make sure that your feet are in bounds. It was a little bit interesting to me, especially just coming off of, I watched the second episode of Hard Knocks about a day or so before, and there was a clip at one point there where Odunze was out of the back of the end zone and one of the veteran DBs called him out on it. And it was just a throwaway moment from the clip, but then we see him having this issue of not staying in bounds during the game as well. That seems to be maybe a little bit of a point of just maturity with Rome Odunze. I think he's more than capable of ironing out that part of his game. Again, it's just the awareness, but something to look at there. Ultimately, didn't have a massive impact. It's kind of hard to, especially as a wide receiver in a preseason game where you're only going to get so many opportunities. I thought that Rome Odunze did fine. Definitely areas of growth that are to come with Odunze. Jayden Daniels, I gave an A. Got a little bit more out of him this week in comparison to last week. This week it was 2 drives against the Dolphins, and I thought that Jayden Daniels was just about flawless for what he was able to go out there and produce for the Commanders. Interesting note in this game was the fact that Cliff Kingsbury and the offense decided to play with a little bit more tempo in this game, and I thought that it didn't look, seamless, and was maybe took a little bit of adjusting to, but definitely a look that it seems like the Commanders are going to be interested in utilizing with Jayden Daniels more. We know the athleticism with him. I'm curious, just the understanding of at the NFL game as well, him finding a way to be able to be mature in his approach, and again, just sort of reading the defenses. I thought he did a very good job in this game. 10 of 12, 78 yards, did everything that he was asked of. Ultimately, the touchdown drive wasn't there like it was last week, but still a lot to like out of what Jayden just showed, and he looks so comfortable in the pocket and his ability to continue to process that they are sort of trying to ramp up the different looks that they show Jayden Daniels during these preseason games with going up tempo, and I think that that's probably a positive statement on how things are going in camp and his ability to process things already at a normal pace. That what does it look like up tempo? So I gave him an A for his performance this weekend. Drake Maye, I gave him a B+. Probably should have had, retroactively here on the fly, probably should have had him around the exact same grade as Caleb Williams. Drake Maye, the overall production of the offense while he was on the field, I thought was better. And I thought that Drake Maye made less mistakes. Now, accuracy and precision is going to be something with Drake Maye where he seems to be leaving the ball a little bit high on a number of these throws. But overall, I just think that he's a gamer. And it was almost the smaller sample size for Drake Maye. I mean, he also got 2 full quarters himself as well. And we saw the third quarter where things started to, the offensive line started struggling more and the offense overall sort of dipped off in productivity. But Drake Maye, I thought he showed a lot of very positive things. His ability to finally, show off the mobility that he has, that wasn't really on display week 1 for the Panthers, that he was able to sort of just almost even overcompensate for a little bit of some struggles on the offensive line that you saw immediately after a false start penalty. He was able to scramble up and make up that yardage to create a more manageable third down, which then he's able to convert in the air to Javon Baker. So I thought that Drake Maye took a lot of positive steps, starting to hear maybe a little bit more about how this quarterback competition isn't completely chalked in with Jacoby Brissett being the week 1 starter, but we'll see there. I give Drake Maye a B+. Now, I just wanted to at least include Michael Penix Jr. in this conversation for the sole purpose of, I don't know what the Falcons are doing, and this might be a more long-term segment maybe later this week, but the fact that Michael Penix Jr. didn't play at all and that the Falcons head coaching staff said that they saw enough from Michael Penix in week 1, despite the fact that the plan for them is to have Michael Penix sit on the bench for another couple years. I mean, why not just give him all the reps possible at this point? I really don't understand the thought process behind that, and I hated it. So Michael Penix, unable to give him a grade. I give the Falcons an F for that decision, though, on not playing Michael Penix Jr., because that's what the people want to see. But I suppose to some degree as well, they're trying to protect Kirk Cousins and not spark up any sort of a quarterback controversy. I feel like that's probably what the bigger thing was, but at the same time, I was very disappointed that Penix did not play. Bo Nix, last quarterback on the list here. I'm giving him an A-. I thought that he was really impressive in his game on Sunday night against the Packers. Now, a little bit more room to grow, I would say, in comparison to Jayden Daniels, if we're just taking their week 2 performances here, where Bo Nix, there were just moments specifically in the red zone, the running over the line of scrimmage before throwing it to Javonte Williams. It was a really nice throw. The degree of difficulty on the run like that, scrambling out to his left, definitely not easy, but at the same time, you just got to be a little bit more heads up there. Either tuck the ball yourself, he would have easily been able to get first down yardage in my opinion, or just stop and let it rip, and he probably would have had Javonte Williams all the same. And that's something I think that Bo Nix and Caleb Williams, I probably should have mentioned it there as well, they just need to maybe settle down a little bit. We know that they can hit some of these off-platform, on-the-move throws, but Caleb Williams specifically, we saw in that third drive the point where he sort of tried to, instead of just stopping and making the throw, there was a man in front of him who was being blocked, and he just sort of was almost looked like he was tripping on himself to let it fly there, and ultimately didn't have the precision he needed on that. So Bo Nix, maybe a couple wrinkles that you want to change up, but was 4 for 4 on the first drive. I believe finished the game with just 1 incompletion. So Bo Nix, in my opinion, I think should definitely lock up that quarterback 1 job in Denver. Another topic we will probably be discussing more in depth later this week. And then the last one that I just wanted to throw in here as well, because I was pretty locked in on the Giants game, was Malik Nabers, where Nabers had some big moments. Obviously didn't get thrown to in the first game. A lot of Giants fans were upset about that. This time 6 targets for Malik Nabers, 4 catches, and overall I thought that it was pretty solid. Now, it's going to take him some game reps to fully get into the groove of everything. He couldn't hold on to his second target, getting both hands on it, but couldn't bring it in over Stingley. Definitely not an easy play, but one that he probably should have had getting 2 hands on it. That was coming right off of a play where he was a little bit soft on his curl route, and Daniel Jones almost threw an interception because Nabers just sort of let Derek Stingley beat him to his spot in the intended, area where Nabers was supposed to settle down. So a little bit sloppy of a first drive, but after that started to get himself going more from there. He had a couple really nice catches on the sideline in this game, including a very impressive one on the 2-minute drill, going up, spinning, and bringing it back down. I thought that he was pretty impressive there. Overall, I think it's just being a little bit sharper. He also had a 3rd down conversion on that same final drive of the first half, where he was able to get himself open for whatever it's worth as well. He was matched up against the defensive back for the Texans. Gotta double check his name here real quick, but it was Mike Ford Jr., who was getting picked on a little bit. He was the one who allowed the big reception to Darius Slayton earlier in that second quarter as well. So Nabers actually slipped on that 3rd down conversion as well, but was still able to come up with it. Just sharpen things out a little bit more, and Malik Nabers is going to be a star someday. So again, didn't get to go to everybody. So many games going on. It is still preseason, so I'm not just handing out grades for the sake of it. I don't want to, speculate on anything here, but let me know how you think I did and whether or not you think I was fair with a lot of these placements here. But we are now going to be taking our next break, and when we come back on the other side, we will be discussing the quarterback race for the Pittsburgh Steelers after neither Russell Wilson nor Justin Fields really pulled ahead in that conversation and that competition over the weekend, in large part due to external factors. So we're going to be breaking down all of that. But first, a quick break. Do not go anywhere. We will be right back.